Hello readers, I'm Amy, back again. I've been kind of quiet over the summer. At this point, I was texting Hillary from Melted Books the other day. I'm like, hey, here's this book that I recommend if you're in the mood for a thriller. Oh, and by the way, I'm finally in the mood for filming. And she's like, oh, you're a mood reader and also a mood filmer. That would make sense. And I'm like, you know what? That's what it is. I'm a mood filmer who has simply not been in the mood for filming. Also, sorry about the kind of rough lighting and the rough angle here. I just finally turned my camera on and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna film something. I actually have a lot of ideas for videos. I just have not taken the time to do anything with them because I just don't feel like filming. It is what it is. But today, I am going to go back to a question I asked on Twitter and Facebook a couple of months ago now, where I asked for celebrity lookalikes for a video. So this is going to be that video. I have a couple of different celebrity lookalikes that I've been given. So we're going to go through the list, and I'm going to tell you who said I looked like that, just because some of these are a little... One of these in particular feels a little out there for me, but maybe it's not. I don't know. Tell me in the comments who you think my celebrity lookalike is. First one I'm going to talk about is Fairuza Balk from The Craft fame. This was recommended by one of my Facebook friends, and I look at pictures of Fairuza Balk and I watch The Craft and I'm like, yes, I absolutely look like her. She is my celebrity lookalike. Love it. She always looks kind of demonic and quirky and weird, and I vibe with that. I get it. Based on The Craft and her general aesthetic, for a book recommendation based on the lookalike, for me, celebrity lookalike of Fairuza Balk, I would recommend Woman Eating. This is not a book that I would typically read. It is a literary fiction, and literary fiction, I love the idea of literary fiction. Literary fiction has some of the best book covers, but I just tend to struggle with them a little bit. But Woman Eating, for me, was a really good literary fiction, meaning I gave it 3.5 stars, which is about the best rating you can get for me for a literary fiction, but I really enjoyed the concept. I liked the writing. Woman Eating is following a vampire, little bit of a foodie where she's interested in the foods that she sees. She wonders about them, but she's not going to be able to eat any of them because she's a vampire. She is trying to get by, doing this art school thing and trying to she's almost really starving herself. She's got, I think they're blood pills or something that she can take. It's really not it. She tries dried pig's blood. It's not working out, but she just doesn't want to go there yet. And it's kind of building and building and building throughout this book. When will she finally consume human blood? And it's, first off, the cover. The cover is phenomenal. It's so artsy and such a weird, interesting concept, and I feel like Fairuza Balk, based on her aesthetic and The Craft, she seems like a literary fiction person, and this is the kind of dark, almost gothic, artsy literary fiction that it just fit for me with her. So, next lookalike is one that I've gotten a couple of times throughout the years. I can't really say who it was that first mentioned this. Maybe it was even in my own brain. I don't know. But Anne Hathaway. I can see it. A lot of it's in the eyes and, the heavy brow for me. But I do think that is a little bit of an accurate celebrity lookalike. And for Anne Hathaway, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Red Clocks. This is a book that I talk about being similar to The Handmaid's Tale. It would happen... I think that the events of this book would happen before Handmaid's Tale. And what do you know? I think that this book may or may not address a lot of some of the stuff that we're dealing with right now, so we are very quickly probably headed into a Handmaid's Tale-like situation. And if you want to know what's going to happen in the near future, I think this would be a good book to read. But anyways, not that I'm insinuating anything, but Red Clocks for Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway, she's got that powerful woman thing. Like, she's done the feminine bit, she's done like the powerful woman bit, she's kind of dabbled in it all with acting, and I feel that with Red Clocks. Red Clocks, we're exploring several different characters from several different walks of life. You have a girl that wants to get an abortion, you have a woman that wants to have a baby, but she's single, so she can't, and you have these more feminine characters and these more, like, tough woman characters. Not that you can't be feminine and a tough woman, that's not what I'm trying to say, but, you know, like, you've got these different aspects of womanhood and femininity, and I see a lot of those different aspects within Anne Hathaway and her acting, and I think Red Clocks would just be a really great book recommendation when thinking about this celebrity lookalike. I should clarify, these aren't necessarily books that I'm recommending to these celebrities, it's just like book recommendations based on their movies and their aesthetics, if that makes any sense. The next one, I believe it was my grandmother when I was on a trip to Pennsylvania, and I must have been maybe like 14, and I remember her mentioning this to me, that she thought that my celebrity lookalike would be Sandra Bullock, which, again, I get it. It's in the dark eyes, the longer face structure, so I get this. I like that. Sandra Bullock is amazing. Like, I've always liked Sandra Bullock. Miss Congeniality was one of the first movies that I fell in love with her on. Practical Magic obviously is like one of the best movies out there. Again, she's like Anne Hathaway, where she's done a lot of different parts. But with her, it was really hard for me. I told myself, if I do Sandra Bullock as my celebrity lookalike for a book recommendation, I can't recommend Practical Magic. I can't do it. And I really wanted to, and I do recommend the Practical Magic series because it's amazing, but I'm not going to recommend that for Sandra Bullock. Instead, I decided to go with this book gifted to me by the wonderful Victoria from What Victoria Read, and that is The 13th Tale. The 13th Tale, I think, kind of fits in with Sandra Bullock in her Practical Magic era, where it's got this magic and mystery to it. Even though this book isn't actually a fantasy, like, it's got a magic to it, it's got a mystery to it. I also think of Sandra Bullock as the cozy actress. Not necessarily, I mean, she doesn't really do cozy movies. She does kick-ass movies and magical movies. But she feels cozy to me. Like, she's the comfort actress. I will watch Miss Congeniality as a comfort movie, as a nostalgia movie, and I feel like The 13th Tale really vibes with that era of Sandra Bullock whenever she was doing like Love Potion number 9 and Practical Magic. So 13th Tale is what I would recommend. And I do have a standalone review of 13th Tale somewhere on my channel that I will link up above. But I love this book. I love Sandra Bullock, so there we go. Then the next one is a celebrity lookalike of my own choosing. So it is what it is. I think I look like this celebrity, with one caveat that I have never had plastic surgery. Cher. Not so much now with the short hair, although she did rock kind of a short hair mullet phase. But I remember going to my very first Cher concert. I want to say it was 2015-ish? 2013? I would have to look it up. I have pictures of me in my Cher t-shirt. I don't know that I have pictures in my outfit, but I had super long hair, and whenever I went to the concert, like, I think I had my Cher t-shirt on, I had on like jean shorts, I had my hair down, I had the bangs. In early college, when I had really, really long hair, kind of hard for me to imagine it now. I don't know that I could ever go back to long hair, but I think I looked like the classic Cher, like the 60s, 70s Cher with the super long, straight hair, doing like some dark liner. I vibe with that. I love Cher. Cher is a goddess. We all worship and love Cher. I think without the plastic surgery, like, early days Cher is a celebrity lookalike for me. And for that, I'm going to recommend this beast for a couple of reasons. For one, Cher has gotten me through a lot. Cher has been with me since I was 12 years old, and I found my mom's CD and I put it in the stereo because, yeah, we listened to CDs back then, and I pressed play and the notes of Believe started playing, and that is just the song of my life. She's been with me through everything since I was 12, and The Mists of Avalon has been with me through a lot as well. Mostly, I had initially borrowed this book, not this exact book. I bought my own copy, I didn't steal it. I borrowed a copy of Mists of Avalon from a teacher in college before I went on my first solo flight, which did not go well and led to an 18-hour layover and me flying to a place that was hours away from my destination and having people drive the hours to pick me up. But luckily, I had this chunky book of women's empowerment to get me through it. Now, one thing here, the author, Marion Zimmer Bradley, horrible person. Absolutely horrible. Would not recommend. Don't live that life. Not good. But Mists of Avalon is still a really good book. It was one of those books that really... I read fantasy as a kid. I'd read Harry Potter. I'd tried Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is not my thing. But fantasy didn't really click with me until I read Mists of Avalon, and it's like, oh, there is this section in fantasy that I actually really like. Particularly, I mean, there's a lot of Avalon books that Marion Zimmer Bradley wrote, but really Mists of Avalon is essentially a standalone. You can read the other books if you want to. I haven't. But anyways, the author was a horrible person, yes. But this fantasy is really heavy on women and women ruling and women's empowerment and seeing how women have been put down through history, and with its magical vibes, because it takes place in Arthurian legend, I think it really goes well with Cher, where I think of her as this magical kind of fantasy person. She's got the glitter and the femininity, but also, like, super strong woman. One of my first, like, heroes as a kid. And I think that this book, in its storytelling, really just goes with the women's empowerment that I imagine when I imagine Cher. Last celebrity lookalike. I don't know how much I agree with this one. You'll have to tell me down in the comments, or don't tell me. But I wanted like an extra celebrity lookalike to just kind of top it off. So I get on Google and I find these like celebrity lookalike things in the webs. And almost every single time I upload a photo, whatever photo it is, Eminem comes up. So you know what? I guess Eminem is one of my celebrity lookalikes. Is it the short hair? Is it the longer face? And I know I have like some more masculine features in my facial structure that I notice. I don't know what it is, but Eminem is apparently one of my celebrity lookalikes. So we're going to do How to Grow an Attic. I was recommended to read this book by a kid who was in residential treatment over here, and I actually ended up really liking it. And this is about a girl who grows up to be an addict. She's got like a really awful kind of family life. She doesn't have a lot of support, and she starts this book being in therapy and talking about her life, and it's based on the author's own life. And I'm sure you can imagine why I'm recommending a drug addict book when we're bringing up Eminem. Eminem has some really dark themes in his music. I never really connected with the themes. I didn't live that life, but his sound has been spot on, at least the Eminem era that I grew up in. And I think that this book really relates to the lyrics of Eminem and that like rough life, and talking about the drugs and the addiction and the tough family issues. And yeah, if I recall, I think there is a trigger warning for some animal abuse in this book. I don't entirely remember, but I think so. So just be aware of that. But yeah, those are gonna be my recommendations for books to go with my celebrity lookalikes. So I hope you liked this video. I want to see people try this. Like, I want to know who you think your celebrity lookalikes are and what books you would recommend based on your celebrity lookalikes. Tell me down in the comments. And that is going to be it from me. Hopefully I will make another new video soon because, like I said, I have a lot of stuff that I want to film. I just have not been in the mood. But clearly I'm in some sort of happy goober mood today, so that's just what this is gonna be. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. We'll always love making new friends, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.